How about Julia Child's creme caramel? What's that all about? This is Jamie and Julia.
Oh! Bon appetit.
We got some cookbook options today. It's, well, this dessert recipe is in both of these. You know this one well, and no need for an introduction. My ride or die. And this is the new and shiny, The Way to Cook. I have read both recipes over side by side. I've determined that this is the path I want to take today. For anyone that's getting worried out there that, I'm starting to abandon this cookbook, that's not true. I'm going to use it in the next video, I promise. It's just I really want a W today, and I think this is my best bet. So, creme caramel, AKA caramel custard. How lovely is the smooth and tender beauty of a caramel custard, carefully baked, unmolded, and standing high. I've heard about this dessert. I've always wanted to try it, so it's gonna be a good day. This is exactly how I want mine to look. So yeah, I got high expectations as per usual. And cinnamon toast flan. Another day. Any questions? Now, when it comes to this dessert, it is important what you're gonna bake it in. Right here is my Charlotte mold. Julia is all about the Charlotte molds, and we've used this one a couple times. We've had some laughs, we've had some, and up a little bit more. The mold that she's using in that photo looks to be identical to this one. And since I bought this used, maybe it was this one. We need to make some caramel. What a novel idea. A saucepan, 3/4 cup, 150 grams of granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons of water, and bring it to a simmer. Swirl it, lift it up, and swirl and swirl. And we need all that sugar to dissolve in there and it become crystal clear. Cover it on a medium high. So after a minute or so, keep peeking, she says, keep peeking. Once those bubbles become thick, continue boiling and swirling the pan. It's gonna start turning color into a light caramel brown. Yeah, I think that's looking good. So I'm gonna get that into a bowl of cold water, to stop it, to stop it from cooking. Oh yeah. As great as that method was, it has made everything firmed up. But now I have to just put it back on the heat to heat it back up again, when I should have just not done that. Oh well. All right, so that's back into being syrupy. Pour half the caramel into the baking dish, half of it. So as soon as I added it into that Charlotte mold, it firmed up. So I just have it on the heat over here so that it turns into a syrup again, and then I will line the inside of this mold. But geez, I really just don't think that bowl of water trick was beneficial to what we're doing right now. Shh. Okay, so with the caramel runny again, I can move it all around the inside of this pan. Mold is lined with caramel. So this is around 100 milliliters, 1/3 cup of water. I'm just gonna add that into the pan with the remaining caramel. So I gotta bring this to a simmer for 2 to 3 minutes. Once the caramel is dissolved, off to the side. Okay, I see what's going on. She said here, to make the caramel, you follow the detailed directions on page 421. You go to 421 to make caramel. So I read and followed along to all of this. However, I don't think you're supposed to go all the way to the bottom. You're supposed to flip over and then it says proceed directly to the next step here. So I don't think I needed to do that bowl of cold water because I found that pointless anyway. But that being said, this caramel syrup right here in this pan, I find is a bit too watery. That is a problem that we can deal with down the road. I might just redo that. Let's just move on here. Turn the oven on, 350. Check. I'm gonna need a big bowl. Merci. Let's move on to 5 egg yolks. Whoa. 3/4 cup, 150 grams of granulated sugar. This is all by hand today. I'm using my big ass whisk. Blend the egg yolks and sugar in a bowl with a whip. I need 4 cups worth of milk in a saucepan. Heat up the milk. Why am I doing it on the stove? I'm just heating it up. I could have just done it in here. I don't know why I do the things I do sometimes. Anyway, moving on. Well, no, we can't. We have to wait for the milk to heat up. Jamie. Oven's on. 6 large eggs, a little bit at a time. How about that? For those that are keeping score, yes, that was 5 egg yolks and 6 eggs. You're gonna need a whole carton. So here I have hot milk. Stream this in and continue to stir, and that's gonna dissolve the sugar. Gradually blend in the milk, stirring rather than beating to minimize foam. There is a little bit of foam, but we minimized it, that's good. In goes 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and a pinch of salt. Pour into a tea strainer into the caramelized dish. I see. I do not have a tea strainer, but I have the next best thing. Sieve me. Thank you. So sieve goes on top of the charlotte mold, and we just pour it through into the dish. Okay. That gets rid of some of the foam and some of this other stuff, as well as a little eggshell. That's great. Skim off the bubbles off the top of the custard. I have the charlotte mold in a separate baking dish right here. Into the oven like this. Fill the secondary baking dish with boiling water that comes around halfway up. Oven, of course, remember, is at 350 F. And I'm baking this for a total, well, it's between 45 minutes to up to an hour and 15. Of course, this is in Julia time, although this is a more modern cookbook than I'm used to. She has a whole way of knowing when this is done. We'll worry about that later. For now, I need to just check it in 10 minutes to make sure that everything is hunky-dory. So I gotta regulate that water. It always has to maintain a simmer. If it comes to a boil, no good. The dessert's gonna be grainy, so you gotta keep your eyes on the prize for the entire time it's in the oven. So after 45 minutes, you gotta make sure the center slightly trembles. If it's still trembling, ooh, that is trembling. Bring out your skewer or your trussing needle or some sort of pointy object. So I'm gonna poke this an inch from the edge of the mold, and if it comes up clean, it should be done. I'm gonna use a toothpick too. I need to be certain. What does this tell me? It's hard to know when that is done. Maybe in 15 minutes? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? Or is it now? I can't tell when it's done. The toothpicks are coming out relatively clean. I would say about 95%. This skewer here comes out completely clean. Look at that tremble. It's trembling. I know. I'm thinking the same thing. I'd say this has been in for around an hour and 10 minutes. The problem is I don't want to cut this open and it all just spills out, right? And then it's game over. So this has to be cooked all the way through. In the end, I baked this for around an hour and 20 minutes, give or take. So an extra 5 minutes on top of what Julia was suggesting. But there's this one problem area. Every time I poke the knife in, I get a little bit of a treat, but it's only in this one part. Other than that, everything looks great. I'm just gonna run a knife around the edges, but honestly, it's separated itself for the most part while it's been hanging out here for the last half an hour. Half an hour plus. Some of the syrup from the very beginning, I've been kind of working on it while we've been waiting for this to cool off. I'm just gonna heat it up while we figure out what to do here. I'm terrified to lift this up. Order up! Look at that jiggle. Just dissolves in your mouth. Poof, it's gone. Oh, yeah. Better. Silky smooth, very rich. Obviously the caramel is the all-star. You gotta soak that thing, caramel, because without it, you're taking a bite of that flan without, is it flan? It's a custard. Is it flan? Maybe. Flan is a maybe. When you're taking a bite out of that custard and it's not soaked in the caramel, it's a completely different thing. It's got more of like an eggy taste to it. Subtle, but it's got an eggy taste to it. It's just not as fun. So it needs the caramel. The caramel completes it. Now this was Jamie and Julia. Bon appetit. Au revoir. Feels to me like a very special occasion dessert. You know, like if you serve that, some sort of big event or something, yeah, you'd remember it, that's for sure. You know, I got a whole plate of it, so the next week is gonna be a big event for me. But you know, take off the apron, straight to the gym. That's how it's gonna go.